everybody, welcome to the Chit Chat Show. We'll chit and chat like there's no tomorrow. I'm your host, Spirit Flave, and welcome back to this episode. This is episode 3, and today I'm here with my very first guest, y'all. Like, I'm actually so excited. I'm gonna let my guest introduce himself, and yeah.
Hi guys, my name is Andy Mugisha. I am currently a economics and financial accounting major here at USM. I'm a junior right now. I got one more year, class of 2026. You know what it is. My minor is leadership studies, so I'm glad to be a guest. Actually, I want to talk about that. First, America number one, so first place goes to me. I'm really excited about that. I don't know what she has in store for me. I'm low-key scared, so we're gonna see how that goes.
No need to be scared, you know. No need to be scared. Today we're gonna have a therapy session for Andy, y'all. Like, I'm so excited.
I ain't never had therapy, you know that, right?
Well, welcome.
Jeez.
Well, welcome. So today we're actually going to be talking about vulnerability and faith. And before I even get started, I'm just going to pull up the definitions for vulnerability and faith, just so like we can be in the same headspace as to like the definitions we're going to be using, because I don't know, like a lot of people have different definitions for things. So we're just going to go with the definition that is on Google. So, vulnerability itself is the quality or state of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. And um, the emotion of vulnerability definition is the willingness and ability to address and articulate emotions. To develop emotional vulnerability, you must acknowledge and deal with your emotions with yourself and others healthily. English, y'all. Vulnerability requires emotional exposure and self awareness. Okay, cool. And then faith is a complete trust or confidence in someone or something. This resorts in one's faith in like politicians or God or anything like that. So, and the I would say spiritual definition is strong belief in God or the doctrines of a religion. And yeah, so Andy,
Talk to me.
would you say you're a vulnerable person?
Um, I would say not necessarily.
And why is that?
I'll break it down. So, I'll put it down in two categories.
Okay.
So, self vulnerability, that I would say I'm really good at,
Okay.
and that's through things that I do, whether it's poetry, hitting the gym,
Mm-hmm.
anything that can kind of get me back in my state of mind, and also being conscious of what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, and how I can deal with it.
Okay.
That I would say like is a 10 out of 10 for me, which is why I'm able to like get up every day and just keep it pushing. As far as vulnerability to other people, that's a little tough spot for me. And I say that because even in the fewest of times that I have been vulnerable with other people, there's been times where it's been thrown back in my face. And it's a bittersweet feeling because it's like you trust that person,
Yeah.
you care for that person, whether it's a loved one, friendship, or whatever, and it sucks that it gets thrown back at you. Or it's like you never really fully trust that it's going to stay between you and them because everybody is like, yeah, I won't tell nobody. And then the three other close friends are knowing about you. So, but yeah, personal vulnerability, I'd say 10 out of 10 for sure. And then outside of that, 0 to like negative maybe sometimes.
Okay. And we are also talking about faith too as well. So how would you say your faith in God has been?
Honestly, it's always been a rocky road, but it's been a consistent one, which is something that I'm really proud of. I think that no matter how much of my lows have been low, I've still remained like consistent with them, whether it's through prayer or quiet times and reading my Bibles daily and reading scriptures, or even trying to find scriptures for encouragement. Like, yes, there's times where like I feel like my fire and desire for him hits at a plateau,
Yeah.
and I feel like I'm not making any progress. But there's also those seasons where it's like really high, really fired up, where I'm even sharing my faith with other people. So I think that's played the biggest role, especially with my vulnerability, because that's the only other person that I've been able to be vulnerable with. Not only because he's already seen everything, but he's also planned everything, and he knows that I'm the only person he's able to reach out to. But yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, so now, I mean, I'm asking you the questions, but you can also like throw questions back at me
Okay,
whenever
bet.
you want. And
Perfect.
it's a conversation. We're chit chatting. This isn't a job interview or interview. We're just speaking on this topic. So, cool. And I would say, how was your upbringing influence your comfort level with being open about your emotions?
I feel like for me personally, my upbringing was honestly, it was a good upbringing, but it was a big struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say it was perfect. And also, like, as the youngest sibling, everybody always thinks that all the attention is on you. But for my case, it wasn't necessarily that. There was something that had happened in the family not too long ago where it kind of caused that dynamic to shift,
Mm-hmm.
where the middle brother became the oldest, and I became the second oldest, and then I
Mm-hmm.
had my other brother to take care of. And that was due to just circumstances that just life throws in the way at you. So once that dynamic shifted, everything kind of shifted, and my mental state of mind of being that child kind of just escaped because that feeling of being that kid again and playing it again, it kind of like adulthood really snuck in really early for me.
Yeah.
So I think the transition to it wasn't really hard because I understood why I was doing it and the sacrifices that I was making for my own childhood. And I had no regrets about it, but I can definitely say that one, I missed out on a lot about childhood, and also vulnerability was really hard because the same people that had all these tasks on me and all these responsibilities were the same people that I couldn't really reach out to and ask for help for because I feel like everybody was already pulling their own weight. So I was not only one shy away to go to them, but also I kind of knew what they would say if I was to just be weak. So I kind of just had to stay in that image of like staying strong.
Mm-hmm.
So premeditated answer for other people was kind of what I had. What about you actually?
For me, well, thanks for sharing that. For me, I would say it definitely my upbringing definitely like um influenced my comfort with vulnerability. Growing up, in my household, it was hard to be vulnerable because when there were times where I wouldn't necessarily say get in trouble or when things is like put on me and I try to defend myself. I wasn't really getting listened to or heard and things like that. So it made it hard for me to even like go and be like, this is what I'm feeling. And I never really had the comfort space to even feel comfortable in a way to go to like my parents or my siblings and be like, oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling this way, you know what I mean? Because even sometimes when I do just be sad, our African parents be, oh, you have to pray the sadness away. There's no such thing as oppression. There's no such thing as this. You know what I mean? It was just like I never really got that space. So it did make it hard for me to even become vulnerable as I get older. Like it does affect like relationships and things like that, which we're gonna get into. But I would say definitely it was hard. Over time, I have learned to become more vulnerable because even when I was younger or at home, I didn't really know the emotions that I was feeling apart from anger. That was the only emotion that I knew, either happy or is it being angry. And a lot of the times, it was me just being angry all the time, not knowing that the anger itself was really just a mask to the real emotions, the real depth, and things like that. So definitely, I'll say that's like where it was. But now I would say my comfort level with being vulnerable to myself and to others, I would say like has increased over time. I do understand like why vulnerability is important, and sometimes, like you said, like it could get thrown back into your face. But when it does get thrown back into your face, that just really tells me that, oh, this person that I'm telling isn't the person for me. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Whether in friends, family, relationship, is just like, okay, bet like you've shown me your
True
character,
colors.
you've shown me your colors, which, thank you for showing me that, thank you, because now I know not to go to you again. It does make it like hard to go to someone else because it could happen all over and you don't want to go through that again and things like that. But what if you do find out one person that you could be vulnerable to, that's not gonna throw it at your face, that's gonna make you feel heard or listened to, which is like why you shouldn't really stop. You know what I mean? Also, like the way I see it too is just like that person that's thrown into your face isn't emotionally like educated or experienced for them to even like be able to take onto it. They don't know their emotions, so obviously then it's gonna be hard for them to know someone else's emotions.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. The next question, that I have is, if you want, can you share a specific instant when you felt it was difficult to be vulnerable, and how did you handle it?
I want to say through my high school, sophomore year to be specific. Just to give you all context, so I had played basketball for a very, very long time. It was a sport that I had not only fell in love with, but it was a sport that I found a lot of friends and relationships through. I can definitely say that without basketball, I don't think I would have gotten as far as I would have. Obviously, thanks to God, but it was that one key link that linked me to like all the friends that I made along the way. So during that time, I think it was like COVID and everything like that, and I had hit a depressive state because one, I was falling out of passion for one thing that I always just known. It was always just basketball. I had a bad day, go shoot some hoops, basketball. I had a good day, go hoop with your boys. You know what I'm saying? So in that time, obviously, like growing up with African parents, I was going through a depressive state, but it was one that I couldn't even share about because even when I did try, it was one of those responses like, why you sad for? You have a roof over your head.
Yeah.
You eat every day. You're not even working. You're over here stressed for what? Why you sad? You know what I'm saying? It's like, are we not doing everything that you need? So with that being said, that was the number one indicator of vulnerability to kind of like get shut down. I wouldn't say it was my first, but it was my most significant because I had fallen out of love with something that had become not only a hobby, but also a habit and something that I had dictated like my whole life around. And that season actually taught me a lot because while I was in that depressive state, I finally learned a lot about myself. I found out that I was more than basketball. I was more than my passions. I was more than my hobbies. I was actually a human being struggling through life and also finding certain solutions and actually like building myself. So I think that's one memorable aspect that I can share about that was really like, dang, I have nobody to reach out to. My siblings, definitely not it. My parents, definitely not it. My friends at the time, it's like I had this one really good friend, a really great best friend, and we would talk small convos from there and there, but it never got like too deep. And that was only on my part because I was just like, dang, what if it ends up like it was with my family? So that hesitancy really created that shell for me to not really be able to reach out to anybody. So I dealt with all that all by myself.
Yeah, definitely. Honestly, it really do be starting from family, to be honest, because dang, and that's the one thing. Like, I will never forget like the family like situations and things like that. I would say, and that's the thing too. Like, I would say like our parents don't even be wrong with the whole like they're quick to like say the positive things that you have and positive things you should be looking at.
But it dismisses everything.
Yeah, the way that they say it too is just like your emotions is like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because I would say like what it was like last week I was on the phone with my mom, and then my car be having problems left to right or whatever. So cool.
Amen.
And then we're talking, amen, indeed. And then we're just talking about the car. I'm gonna like like Ashley's gonna help me this that the third, and then she was just like going on and on. And I was like, bro, I was just like to my mom, I have other things to worry about. You know what I mean? I don't have time for this right now. And then it's like, what are you worried about? What is there to be worried about? Is it your exam? Did you not pass your exam? What is there to be worried about? You're about to finish school or whatever and all of these things. And I'm just like, yo, you're not wrong, but that doesn't take away from what I'm feeling right now. And that doesn't even make me want to even tell you what it is that I'm even going through. You know what I mean? Or what it is that it's going on and things like that, because you're not gonna understand it, and it's not like you're gonna try to understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it does like make it hard. I would say definitely like my lack of vulnerability, lack of trust, all of this, it's basically started from home for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same.
And then after home and then going outside, it's like seeing the same thing. It's just like, what's the point? You know?
Yeah.
But over time, you know, you get to meet people that are
Genuine,
like you
good
know what I mean?
friendships.
And then,
People that want to see you win.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then it's gonna work out. So, my next question, yeah?
Talk to me.
So, would you say your lack of vulnerability, would you say this is something that men in general also like lack?
Oh, most definitely.
Percentage
Percentage? Yeesh. I don't want to be rough, but I want to say like at least 90%.
of men.
95%, if
Okay.
not.
And why do you think that is?
Because aside from society just telling you man up and tough it up, like, you know, it's the fact that, like, even the caregivers or the people that are emotionally in tune that you're supposed to, like, gravitate to, for me personally, I'll be honest, those have been my toughest critics in life. And that's not to say that they're doing it because they hate me. It's because they want to see the best in me and they don't want to see me fail. But it's also like
That's all they
they've been
know.
the harder critics than my other male friends, my father, all this and this and that. It's like some of my toughest critics in my life have been the women in my life. And I love them to death and everything like that. But it's just like, it's just the way it is. And especially as a man, it's like we don't create that space for each other.
Yeah.
Like through brotherhoods that you build with your best friends and everything like that, maybe sure you have that small community or obviously that faith and religion that you have. But for the people that don't have that, it's like hoodies on, just lone wolf living life through.
You see,
know what
I'm
saying?
glad you said that, you know, it's hard. It's like there's not really a space for men to support each other. Which does lead to my next question. How or in what ways can men support each other in being more open about their feelings?
Honestly, that's a tough hurdle to get over because one, it's not something our fathers did, and we don't have an example of that.
Yeah.
But do like community building. Honestly, like they say, the number one place for men's therapy is a barbershop.
Yeah.
Our barbershops, we sit there, talk about our life, talk about our families, just talk about what's going on, not just between you and your barber, but the people that are also in the barbershop. But for us to create that, honestly, we just have to like one, get together and actually admit that we need that because pride and ego is a really strong thing. You don't want to tell all these random men what you're going through because one of them just gonna be like, oh, you soft. That's nothing compared to me.
Yeah.
Or this and this and that. But you got to realize that it's not about comparison. It's the fact that the weight of it still hits each individual person differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just creating that. It's admitting the fact that you need that. Also creating that space and actually getting together and putting that action to make it happen.
Would you say this is something that you do with your male friends as well?
Yeah, most definitely. A lot of my male friends, if not almost all of them, I think I do this with a lot. Late night drives really gets us there. FaceTimes, conversations, we really get there. And in times where we do need each other, we don't hesitate to call each other like, yo, I need you right now.
Yeah.
Well, we drop everything for each other. So
that's good.
That's one thing I actually
start
can
with
say.
one, y'all. It starts with one, you know, and it's gonna spread like a disease, which it should,
Exactly.
you know. But yeah, okay, cool.
Actually, I was gonna ask you, do you have that
ask me.
community with you and your female friends and everything like that?
I would say yes for the most part. I would say there is like one or two. There's like two that I know that I can get really vulnerable with and just say it how it is, say what I'm going through and things like that, you know. So I would say definitely I do have it, and I would say the way I can confide in them, they can also come and confide in me as well because we do have to like hold each other up basically. So
Yeah. No, that's really good.
yeah,
I'm glad you have that.
I'm glad you have that too.
Thank you.
Okay, next question. Oh, this is fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how does your faith play a role in encouraging you to embrace vulnerability?
One of the scriptures that really sticks out to me, and the
Okay,
shortest
scripture.
one, is Jesus wept.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Simple.
It's so simple and so small, but people don't realize the gravitational pull of that.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, why did Jesus weep? But also, it's the fact that Jesus literally wept. So
Yeah.
that shows me that man.
Like
can
God
cry.
himself cried.
Yeah,
You know, that's
you know what I'm
like,
saying?
What?
A God in human form
God
came down
himself
and cried.
cried.
Exactly.
What's holding me back from crying?
Crying,
What's holding you back
exactly.
from crying, Andy?
I would say that, I'll be honest, it's been a long time since I cried.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very, very long time since I cried. I think the last time I cried, I was maybe getting a beating, and that was maybe at 11, 12 years old.
Someone needs to give him another beating, then we're good.
But the thing is, that crying came from pain, physical pain.
Yeah.
I'm talking about emotional pain.
Yeah.
I haven't cried from that in a long time.
Yeah.
I really just toughened it up. You know, there's times where I really wanted to, and I tried to, but I just, for some reason, I couldn't let myself do it.
Yeah.
So to say I've seen my own tears, unless the wind is blowing in my eyes, that's about it. But yeah, I think that is one scripture that really sticks out to me, that tells me that it's okay to cry. Like, a man of God, like, it's okay to cry. You know, Jesus wept. You can cry too. There's no judgment zone, nothing like that. And if you have whatever good family or good friendships that you have with you, like, they'll not only acknowledge that, but they'll accept you into their arms. They won't look at you different.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just also the fact that we get into our own heads about what society feeds us. How many times do you see a man crying online and people are in the comments laughing at him? This is a serious situation. Somebody just lost their daughter to whether anything, or somebody just lost a family member, and then you just seeing people laughing in the comments. It's like, oh, you're crying. The first thing you thought about was recording yourself. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's so crazy how often you see that. And it's crazy too, because it's like, it's so dismissed quickly, even in relationships. Like, I'm not gonna lie, there was this one sad, like, I had seen it online, like, on Instagram, and this woman was expressing how the man in her life, who she's always seen, like, as a shining knight, had finally cried, and it made her look at him different.
No
and
way.
Apparently they divorced after that. I said,
No way.
I said, the one time he finally, like, you know, opened up, broke down and cried, you left him.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to do to him for the rest of his life? You know what I'm saying? So it's those things like that. But then again, it's the fact that, like, seeing my own father cry, I've never seen him cry either. Like, when my grandma died, his mom, did you see him shed a tear? I couldn't even shed a tear, but I wanted to. Because this was one woman that was in the first half of my life always taking care of me.
Yeah.
And I remembered her, you know. But it almost made me sad, the fact that I couldn't even cry for a woman that cared for me for so long. But yeah.
Yeah, well, thanks for answering that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say definitely society does even play like a really big role, because we're taught to see men as men, you know, like strong, you know, and you always hear the phrase "man up," you know, man up, man up, man up, you know, like if you don't man up, your sin is weak. Yeah. If you cry, if you say you feel sad, you're automatically seen as weak. But a lot of people don't really realize that weakness that they think is weakness is really strength, you know, because not a lot of people have the courage to even like say out exactly they feel, especially men, you know, not a lot of people have that courage. So it's just like, why is that considered weak when you don't even have the courage to even do it yourself? You know what I mean? It's just like, isn't it supposed to be like, oh, you're even strong for doing that and acknowledging that, or like, maybe I'm not okay. And I feel like that's also why it is hard for men to even like go to therapy, you know, for them to even like go to their own partner and be like, this is how I'm feeling, because they're trained to provide, go to work, take care of your family, protect, you know what I mean, lead and all this thing. But when it comes to like the inside of things, like the inner part of a human being, it's like, it shouldn't be there. You know what I mean? It's like, y'all supposed to be robots at this point. You know what I mean? No type of emotion. You just got to be there. You know? But, I mean, it is sad, to be honest. I do think that women as well, we do need to make it more of a safe space as well for men to become vulnerable, because it's one thing to, like, you're man up from a man, you know what I mean? It's another thing where it's just like women are meant to be nurturers and things like that. So it's just like, if you can't even go to a woman and like, you know, cry or open up and things like that, it's like, who can you even go to? Yeah. You know, that's why a lot of people be getting pets and things like that, because that's who they're gonna go to and things like that. So I would say women as well, we've done like a pretty bad job too when it comes to like that aspect, and letting it be a safe space for men as well. So it's like men, women, everybody's doing a bad job at this point, to be honest. So because it's like I wouldn't want my son, right, to grow up in this environment, this society where he's not even able to cry. He's seen as weak because he has all of this emotions that he's unable to show. Because when you do bundle all of those things in and just keep taking all of these things people are throwing at you and things like that, it's gonna take up so much space that you need to let it out to create more space for other things. You know what I mean? And I would say like that's why you see a lot of men too, when they crash out bad. It gets to like violence and things like that. They crash out bad.
Because they have all that bottled up within inside them. And also, like, one state of mind that we do fall into is, like, just stay busy.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times that I neglected my own feelings and my emotions, I just kept myself busy so that I didn't have to deal with them.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay, next question. How does your lack of vulnerability affect your walk with God? If it does.
It affects it to some point, I'll be honest, because I didn't, like, through my walk with God, it was always, like, thanking God for everything that He does, praising His name, glorifying His name, and also just asking Him for things that I either want or need in my life, or some blessings that I do need. It wasn't until that maturity had kind of hit where it's like, it's all right to be vulnerable with God because He was with you every step of the way, 24/7. What is one thing He doesn't already know about you, you know? So it wasn't until this last, like, year into my faith and my walk with Him where I really started actually being vulnerable with Him. Like, even writing things down, just be like, hey, God, it's me again. This is what I'm going through, this and that. Because I know He's a listening ear.
Yeah.
One that not only understands, but one also that gives me trials and tribulations to overcome. Because I know He's molding me and shaping me into the man that He wants me to be. So, in an extent, for a lot of years, it did affect my faith because I was just like, okay, I'm praying to God this and this, but it wasn't really.
It was surface level.
Yeah, it was surface level, and I hadn't really like personally connected with God.
Yeah.
Or personally like walked that actual walk with God and told Him about my challenges and everything like that. Told Him what I struggle with, what sins I struggle with. It wasn't until then where I started like actually being vulnerable because yes, He already knows, but for you to confess it yourself with your own mouth and acknowledge that. It's a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
And it opens up that next stage in that relationship where it's like, wow, God, thank you. But yeah.
Definitely.
What about for you?
For me, I would say definitely in the beginning stages too, to be honest, because like I said, I didn't really know how to like read my own emotions and know how I was feeling. So like I'll just go to God and be like, well, thank you for another day. Thank you for seeing me through it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it was hard for me to even like cry. And honestly, sometimes even at church, I'm just like, everybody's crying. I'm just like, dang, like, am I supposed to be crying too? What's going on? Like, what we crying about? So
Holy Spirit catches somebody.
Yeah. And sometimes it's like, I'm really like, when I do sometimes I'm like holding it back because it's just like, what is going on? I'm not trying to cry in public right now,
Yeah.
But I would say, like, definitely in the beginning stages, it was hard for me to even, like, be vulnerable. I was really just looking at the physical things that I was going through, Oh, I got to pay this X amount of bills. I got to submit this X amount of assignments, I got to run this X amount of errands, just, like, the overwhelmness, but just, like, oh, get me through this day, get me through this day, But it's just, like, why are you even really feeling overwhelmed? Did I even know overwhelmness was an emotion? No. Did I know I was tired and this was a lot? Sure, yeah, what I mean? But just like after that, like how does that even really make me feel? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I would say like over time, definitely I have like cried multiple times, to be honest. I'm just like, I want to come back,
I got a question after that actually.
Okay, so I would say like ask a question actually.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. My fault. When was the last time you cried?
The last time I cried,
serious, all out cry. Let it all like crash out cry. When was the last time you cried?
2 Sundays ago.
Okay. You don't have to touch in specifically what was going on, but what emotions were you feeling at that time?
You know, what was it? I don't even know, but I just know I needed to cry.
Okay.
I was at church, right?
Yeah.
And then in the beginning, I'm just there and I don't know people or whatever. And this is like my second time showing up to this church or whatever. I'm just there. People are like, mind you, praise worship. People are just crying or whatever. The choir's out there. They bond their eyes out, and I'm just sitting like, I was like, y'all making me want to cry now a little bit. Because when people cry, I tend to, like, kind of cry, too. Because, like, I'm an empath and things like that. So I'm just like, And then, cool. Then, after that, the preacher preached and things like that. And then we started praying, right? We started praying. Music was going on in the background and things like that. And I just started crying. You know what I mean? And then that pushed me to like start praying about like all of these things that I'm going through within, and just just how tired I am, to be honest, of feeling the way that I've been feeling. And then it was just a lot. I was just crying and crying, like my nose was dripping too. That's how like I was crying, like they was walking around with that. I was like, yeah, let me go. Like I was crying. I was just like, life is happening, and then just like, and I would say part of it too was just like saying like the amount of fear that I've been carrying and like I've been feeling as to like the things that I'm scared of, you know what I mean? So I said that was like the main reason I'm like, yeah, like life is going on really, really fast, There's no way for me to slow it down. I just gotta keep going at this fast pace, you know what I mean? And it was a lot, to be honest. So I wouldn't even say like I felt sad, honestly, but it was just something where it's just like I needed that one to cry because it's been a minute since like I've even really prayed for real, So, but yeah, when I prayed prayer, man, I started crying for real. To be honest,
that's real.
Actually, no, that wasn't even the last time.
I mean, it's your most memorable. So
that wasn't even the last time. The last time was on Friday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
More recent.
Yeah, it was on Friday. Anyways, but yeah, cool. When was the last time you already said since you was 11 years old?
It's been like tears for real. It's been a while, but I can say that my heart has like yearned.
Yeah.
Sadness, really.
So you want to cry?
Yes, always been trying to.
Okay. So what do you think is stopping you?
I really don't know. I don't know if it's for the fact from like either my parents being like, stop crying before I give you something to cry about, or if it's from something later on throughout my years where it got thrown in my face again multiple times by multiple different people, or if it's just like my unwillingness and my hard-headedness to not let those tears come out.
So what do you think is going to take for you to even shed a tear?
Honestly, obviously that comfortability, and I already have that with my friends, but it's just like that comfortability where it's like through that late night drive, I'm really like, we're talking about life and everything, and I just like full on say everything I need to get off my chest, all my fears, all my doubt, and I think honestly that would do it because there's a lot of I've had like bottled up for a long time, and I don't know when that bottle cap is ever gonna pop.
So do it.
But yeah, times where I have like really yearned sadness, it's like first time I really understood what God has really done in my life and everything He's actually sacrificed for me. That actually almost brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh my goodness, like all of this.
So what stopped you?
What stopped me at that point was looking at the fact that I was surrounded by 1,000 other people. I was surrounded by 1,000 other people, and I was
think you're gonna look weak at that moment?
Yo, it's not even that I was gonna look weak. It was just like I've never cried before off of like emotional type of like, Yeah. So I don't know if it was gonna be an ugly cry, a cry, or just people are like, what's going on with this guy?
But why should that matter though?
It shouldn't, but it did at that moment.
Because when Jesus wept, he didn't weep in private.
Yeah, you're right.
It was around people. Like, people should too. Like, what's wrong with this? But like, did they let it like affect them? I
no, he didn't at all. But it was just the fact that like That was one of the closest moments. Another close moment was I was kind of yearning a sadness for a friend.
Yeah.
A friend was really going through a lot at the time, and me and my you know Superman complex. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even help but just be there. And that sadness that they felt, I kind of put myself in their shoes, and I really felt really really sad.
Yeah.
It's sad to see my friends cry, but it's also a bittersweet moment because I've realized that through my walk with God is my weakness has been my biggest strength because when I'm weak, I actually go to Him more. When I'm strong and I'm level headed, like yes, I still go to Him, but I don't go to Him as often.
Yeah.
But like when I'm broken down, I got nothing to lose. I'm like, you know what, God, take it.
Like I'm back.
Yo, like honestly, God, like I can't even do nothing. I've been trying to do
Yeah.
all these things through my own strengths. Like I'm
Yeah.
weak, I'm down flat, like I got nothing else. Like take it. That's the closest I've ever been to Him. So
Yeah.
I've realized that in my weakness as a man of God has actually been my biggest strength because every time I've come back from that, I've not only like soared higher, but I've also been actually like I had a better understanding and a closer relationship.
Yeah.
With Him.
I mean, I would say that's why the Bible does say like when you're strong, like I'll make you strong and things like that
Yeah.
because God knows when we strong, we're not gonna go to Him to become more strong. You know what I mean? And things like that. So it's just like because people, even me, said it's like I go back once it's like I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm tapped out, like orange juice. There's no more juice left. I'm tapped out. No more fire, you know? So it's just like, even me too, like when I'm weak, once it's just like, I don't know what else to do. I can't breathe. That's really when I do have my most intimate moments with God and things like that. And have you prayed for God to make you cry?
Yes, that was actually a very heavy discussion that I had gotten into with my discipler. He told me, he's like, yo, you never cry for real. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, honestly, you really need to fast and actually like pray about it because there's something holding you back from crying. And I don't know if that's a childhood trauma or a fear of being like left for being weak or anything like that. Part of it I feel like is like that sometimes though. Because like there's that fear of like, when I'm finally not strong enough to carry the whole world that my world carries and like my close relationships I want to carry forward because I want to be so serving and I want to be in their life. Like when I'm finally weak, are they gonna stay or are they gonna leave me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, do I have abandonment issues? Like you know. But yeah, I had to really like fast on it and really pray for it, and I really did fast on it and pray for it as well. And like now, it's gotten to the point where I've become more emotionally in tune, especially with like loved ones and friends like that. But I haven't hit that like final flip or that final tip where I really like just break down and cry. But when that moment does come, I'll let all my close ones.
Yeah, I would want to know, to be honest.
I'll
be proud of it. I'm like, oh my God! Oh my God. I mean, honestly, I would say once you do get to that point and you do let it all out, it's going to feel free and it's going to feel refreshing. You know what I mean? It's like, you're going to try to stop, but you're not going to stop.
That's one thing, too. I was really in my head about, like, what is crying ever, like, if I cry, it won't change the situation. That's one thing I used to tell myself a lot. I was like, if I cry, what is the situation going to change? You cried, congratulations. Did you find a solution? No, you didn't. And that's all that self-talk really coming in, but it's, you know?
I mean, definitely, like, it won't change the situation, but
it does
like,
release a lot.
Yeah, it's like when there's no words to really describe what it is you're feeling, you know, I would say, like, tears itself speak for that. You know what I mean? It's like, it's another way of being vulnerable. And I'm like reading Psalms, right? And then you should read it too. It does like show how vulnerable David got. You know what I mean? And you write poems too. His music were poems and things like that. You can see how vulnerable, like he be crying day and night, you know what I mean? And it's just like, you just saw how comfortable he was to go to God to that point where he's crying, you know what I mean? And even if he's going through all of these things, he's still going back to God, you know? And like you could just see like how his weakness made him stronger. You know what I mean? So I would say, hey, Psalms, it's doing this thing.
No, it be doing this thing.
It's doing this
There's
thing.
a lot of scriptures in there.
It'd be a lot.
A lot of
verses. A lot.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, okay, so the next question, or do you have any questions for me?
I got no questions for you. I think you've answered every single one that I've had for you.
Cool. Okay. In what ways has being vulnerable deepened your connections with others?
I'm not gonna lie. I've got a lot of solid friendships right now.
Okay, that's good. We love to hear.
And honestly, that's honestly all thanks to vulnerability. Because not only have they trusted me enough to be vulnerable around me, but I've also trusted them enough to like be vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
And that's honestly deepened our friendship to the point where it's like, you can get mad at me like a sibling. You're not going nowhere. You know too much.
Yeah. Not that you know too much. It's like, it's either you die, you know, or
Yeah,
you
I'm
get
like,
to
yo,
your senses.
I'll be honest with you. Like, we could beef, you know, for a whole day, 24 hours. Cool. You're not going nowhere. I'll be honest. Like, we've been through too many ups and downs for you to just leave me like that. You know, our friendship, it's not even like, oh, our friendship has been long. Yes, it's been long. But it's the fact that we've deepened to that level where we've gone deeper than the tip of the iceberg, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going nowhere for real, because, you know, I've trusted you with some of my deepest, darkest secrets. You've trusted me with your deepest, darkest secrets. Yeah. And we've been so vulnerable with each other where it's like we see each other in the new light. And we realize how much not only we all love each other and we all care for each other, and how much, like, we're willing to, like, drop anything and everything for each other. Like, my close friends, I know that in any moment of call or, you know, anytime I can call them, they'd be able to drop everything for me, and vice versa. At any time, anywhere. Unless they're D&D warriors. I don't know what they do with those.
I know one of them.
Calling D&D warriors is kind of hard, you know. Reaching out to them
actually.
It's hard, you know. It's like that Hollywood celebrity life is really hard, so I don't know how they do it. But,
like,
you know,
well, you don't want to speak,
it gets there. One of them, I know that if I call her before 12, I'll get a call back, you know. But if it's past that 2 year hit marker, that D&D is too strong for me to get through. I could be on my dying bed. I'm calling, she's not answering. D&D work.
Imagine, like, you could be dying,
that's
but you
what I'm
gotta
saying.
call twice. How you gotta call twice?
I gotta call you twice. I'm on my dying breath, and you know what I'm saying?
I saw this thing on Instagram. It was like, oh, if you need something, I'm 2 calls away because I'm on D&D. I'm like, bro, it's supposed to be welcome.
Not even that. It's like, you can only get 1 call off. Imagine running from somebody. Some night, you're being chased. And you don't have...
And I will be annoying too, because you either sleep the app, you gotta go back and I'm like, yo.
And you're running too, you panicking. Bro. You got 1 calling me. And I need you to pick up on that first ring. Second one latest. But honestly, all my friends have, like, my close friends have my location. So regardless if I was not able to get through to them, if they saw that I was at a location for a long time and I hadn't moved or something had happened, or even when my location turns off, they quick to clock that. They'd be like, why your location off? My fault.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so now would you say that your lack of vulnerability has weakened your faith and relationships with God or any other relationship, like friendship, family, or does your faith help you become more vulnerable?
I would say for a long time it did weaken it in both areas. But now my faith has actually helped me become more vulnerable. Because it's not only are you seeing the testament of Jesus, but you're also seeing the testament of every disciple, every person that walked through that life. And honestly, they struggled with the same sins we did. Maybe at different times, but same sins we did. And you can see how they repented or how they changed their life or how God just gave them that grace and just forgave them and how they changed their life around. And it's possible for any one of us. Don't ever think that you're too low enough or too invulnerable enough to not be able to change your life. So I can definitely say that my faith has definitely helped me become more vulnerable.
Okay.
For sure.
And what would you say, like, allows you to keep having faith?
Oh. It would honestly kill me not to have faith because everything that he's done for me, not even just his works alone, but the life that he breathes into me every morning to be able to wake up and the blessings that he's put in my life from the people that are in my life. That's a blessing in itself. You know, the people that actually care about me, check up on me, call me, and, like, hang out with me and everything like that, that's a blessing. The gifts that he's given me in life, the talents that he's given me, the gifts of like, you know, who I am, Andy Mugisha. Even that name alone.
Andy Mugisha, you better know it. Don't play
Even
with
that
him.
name alone carries so much because it was gifted to me at birth, and he chose me in my mother's womb, and he knew what I would become. So even then, like, I honestly, like, it would kill me not to have any more faith. It would really, like, kill me because at that point I've lost myself.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say sometimes it is hard to remember the things God has done.
Definitely, for sure.
You know what I mean? Which is something that I would say do take my faith away sometimes, because if you know me, I'm very forgetful. You know what I mean? Especially when life just be hitting, like, I'm just like, okay, I need to lock in, I forget, like, everything else, to be honest. I would say, like, it is, like, hard to remember sometimes, because there is countless of times where God has come through for me over and over and over, you know, but it is hard to forget. And honestly, sometimes even if, like, I do forget what he's done in my life, I feel like I do also could remember stories in the Bibles, you know what I mean, or see how he's working in my family's or my friends' life day to day and things like that. So personally, for me, I just need to learn how to remember and make my brain work. You know, so many trauma that I just be forgetting a lot of things out.
True. Trauma will make you forget, because not only do we highlight that ourselves, but life kind of highlights it a little bit, because sometimes, like, we try to be defined by our trauma.
Yeah.
More people are more comfortable with talking about their traumas, everything they've gone through.
Yeah, but they're not talking. They're just saying the surface level, but they're not saying, how does that make you feel?
How did that make you feel? How did that change you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, and sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie, we can be victims to our own trauma because we get so comfortable with our trauma. We don't want to sit in there too long.
Yeah.
Because one, we fear sitting there for too long, but also we get too comfortable sitting there for too long. That's all we try to stay in, and we don't try to better ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's that personal accountability of, like, okay, you know, by all means, take your time, get over it, to not only get over it, but let time teach you how to live with everything that you've gone through. But just don't sit in it too long where you feel like you can't even take a step forward.
Yeah.
Because at that point, regret is a bigger tab to pay and a bigger bill to pay, because it hits you towards the end of your life.
Yeah, and I feel like as Black people too, it's very easy to just, like, talk about trauma but not really, like, say what we do feel towards it, or how it is even, like, affecting us right now. You know what I mean? We laugh over stories we're telling. Like, I'm telling, like, I could be telling I got shot and be laughing, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, but, like, how does that even feel, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you got stabbed in the back, dang. But I'm just like, yeah, man, that happened.
We laugh it off,
you know? But it's just like,
you know?
how does that make you feel, you know? When it's just like all of these things that you got through to this point, it's affected the way you trust people, the way you love people, you know, the way you speak to people, the way you carry yourself. It affects all of these things, but we're very quick to just ignore that part, but just to be like, yeah, it happened, you know what I mean? Like, cool, and that's it, and we keep pushing. But yeah, well, it's been a very good conversation.
That's the last question?
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to say something, unless you want to ask something, whatever you want to do.
For the viewers out there, don't lose faith in God, and also don't lose faith in your community that's not only cared for you and catered to you. Have trust in them and hope that they're able to handle everything that you come with, and let yourself be accepted. But for you to do that, you got to accept yourself too. So
Definitely.
Know that your traumas and your hardships don't make you who you are, but it's what you do about it. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I appreciate y'all for telling me.
Don't go being vulnerable to everybody, though. Not a lot of people can take it.
Only your close, you know.
Yeah, and if they don't, and if they don't get it, if they can't take it, then they're not for you.
That's your sign right there.
Try therapy though, you know, because they have no choice but to listen for real, you know, but to take it.
They're professionally trained.
Yeah, they could help you, you know, but not all therapists could help you. You just gotta find your right one and find a stable, healthy coping mechanism, you know, because that's also a way to, like, be vulnerable, find an outlet, you know. Don't go drinking your life away, you know. Don't go smoking your life away, You know, you can go to the gym. That's healthy, you know, for your body. This, that, the third. Eat healthy, right? You know,
Late night drives.
hey, if you gotta make music, make music. You know, I don't know if you're gonna make it out the hood, but you can make music.
You can make it out the SoundCloud.
You know, hey, you can do something. You know, the
Yeah.
world is your oyster.
Exactly.
And definitely, like, vulnerability will make you stronger as a person. It will make your relationship stronger, you know, or not. But if not, that's not your person. That's not your friend. You know, with family, it is tricky because those are your family forever. So you have no choice but to stick around, you know. But, like, once you are able to become vulnerable and show other people how to become vulnerable, they could also learn as well and know how to be vulnerable, know how to read their own emotions and become emotional intelligence. So it does start with one. And just because one person doesn't understand it doesn't mean like you shouldn't be friends with them anymore. They're just not at that level of emotional intelligence as you, and over time they're gonna get there, and you can help them get there too as well. You know, everybody's learning. There's no failures, you know, there's just lessons, life lessons, you know, so you know what to do for the next one.
And then always remember that your weakness is a strength.
It is.
So
what doesn't kill you
makes you stronger.
There we go. But anyways, thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Andy, for chit-chatting with me.
Of course, always.
And yeah, all right, that's it. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Oh yeah, follow, like, review, comment, whatever it is.
Subscribe.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. All right, bye now.
Bye, guys. Love y'all.